Hey traders, Dennis Warburton, the AutoPilot Trader. If I could show you a way that you could make one measurement and know whether or not the system you're trading will be successful or unsuccessful, don't you think that'd be valuable information for you to know? I'm going to show you how to do that in today's session of Trade Your Way to Wealth and Financial Freedom. Plus, we've got 3 great stocks to take a look at that potentially are holding up better than the rest of the market. The market is falling. Oh no, it must be September. And so before we go, hey, remember, just catching us on YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell. And also, please share our content with other traders, because that's how I can help more traders trade their way to wealth and financial freedom. So aloha, let's jump into today's session right
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Warburton, the active trend trader and the AutoPilot Trader. I want to welcome Steve Farrar here from Hawaii, and also Anil from Anil Parikh from Delaware. Gentlemen, just when I thought it was safe to get back in the water, what's going on?
I don't know. I think it's just volatility in the market. To stay patient.
Wait and be patient. And so just wait for those triggers. What about you, Anil?
Same thing. Today's looked interesting, and Barry may be right. It might have something to do with Russia and oil. I don't know.
We will basically check things out as we get going. And so let's jump into today's session. Remember that all the materials we do provide are for training purposes. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Past performance is not an indication or promise of future performance. And as Mark said, keep your powder dry. I kind of agree with that. But I'm not going to complain. I'm tracking right up my 40% line. That's my target for the year. Every year, that remains my objective. And so we're tracking right up that line. And the thing that I've noticed this year, a little more so than last year, the win-loss ratio has been a little bit out of balance, more to the losing side. But our actual profits, our winning trades, have been much larger than our losing trades. And so nothing can help offset out of balance win-loss ratio like having an excellent profit loss or risk reward that you're actually experiencing. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at. If you're not a subscriber on the YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button, if you will, and the bell to be notified when we do post new stuff up over there. And please leave a comment, help feed the algorithm. And that's basically what helps distribute more of the videos over on the YouTube channel going forward. So I'm sitting here looking at where are we at. The index, the NASDAQ and the Russell remain in bear territory. The S&P bounced down. Now this is about 9 o'clock this morning. It has changed some. So the S&P now is down a little bit for the day. The Dow is also. We're going to see if this is the S&P going to flirt with bear territory. We don't, at this point, it's like on the fringe, canary in the coal mine. If it goes into a dive mode and drops down, then we may have some significant more downside. The market and our economy face a lot of headwinds that make it kind of challenging right now. And so my advice, or I don't know, call it advice or not, is just, trade the chart in front of you. Limit the number of entities that you're looking at, and also use this time, and this is one of the things I like to do, is use these down times in the market to sharpen your saw. What do I need to rehearse? How well is my, and it's a great time to take a look at your past data to find out what is your system's performance. Like if I were to ask you guys right now, from a system performance standpoint, what does the data tell you about your system performance? Is it, how do you measure your system performance?
I think I measure my system performance about same way you do, is what's on track or not. But I can tell you my system is not performing as good as yours.
Okay.
You have a remarkable adherence to your 40%, which is remarkable.
And so, yeah, it's I'm very pleased. I'm sitting there. I did some math on my system. I discovered a new way of measuring system performance. It's called profit factor, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later today. Well, what is a profit factor? You know, how do you determine your profit factor? And depending on what your profit factor is, tells you whether or not you have a winning system or a losing system. Steve, what about you? How do you determine your system performance?
I gauge my performance pretty much the way you guys do. In actual performance, I'm down close to 50% for the year. I'm strictly an options trader. I'd say 95% of my trades are options related trades. And I'm mostly directional with those options. I'm not a credit spreader, so I'm down, but it's within norms. It's not that unusual to have those kind of swings in options trading. I measure my performance to how well I follow my rules.
Okay.
If I do a good trade and it's a loser, I don't care. You know, if I get set up, I took it and I managed it as best I can. I consider it a successful trade.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to present something today a little bit later on that'll show you some other additional things to look at for performance. And so, but first, before we do that, let's get into what stocks are we going to talk about this week. And I'm going to jump over here. Oh, look at that spider. It's fallen from the sky, but we're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to talk about Steve's stock, which is, I like this stock, Steve, and this is a repeat from you from a couple of weeks ago.
Correct. And it's setting up, well, it was looking a lot better earlier in the day, but it's still a reasonable setup. This is Shockwave.
Right.
On a daily chart, used to looking at the daily and the weekly charts. It's broken to a new high ground recently, in the last month or so.
Right.
It's in a pullback right now, and it's pulling right back to the 20 period moving average.
Okay. Yeah.
Bounced right off of it yesterday, and I was looking for an entry today. With this weakness, I'm not sure, although I think it's still viable if you had the gumption to own the stock. And this is one of the better performing stocks in the IBD 50. Wait for Monday or Tuesday if you want to see a little bit more strength before you come in.
Yeah. I think I would think waiting until Monday or correction Tuesday or so, because this is a long weekend. And I don't necessarily like to initiate newer positions with a long weekend facing us, because there's a lot of junk that can happen. Who knows what the Chinese or the Russians are going to do the rest of the weekend? I mean, so you're going to hold off until Monday or so, or Tuesday.
I would buy it above yesterday's high.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I've noticed this on a lot of the charts that I've been watching. We've got a couple of things going on, and I just pointed out to you. We've got the momentum indicators on the weekly chart, starting to look a little bit toppy. Daily momentum indicators, this one looks really grand for the longer term move up here. This is the market forecast. And so, yeah, I would be all over this. It's definitely holding up better than the market. But I'm sitting there watching a little bit of TSI on the dailies. Look like it might bounce off of this zero line right here. So I have a little bit of out of sync issues with the momentum indicators for right now. But again, I'm looking for price action. And we do have a reversal candlestick yesterday, a nice hammer. So that nice looking chart. And Nicole says that SWAV has excellent or phenomenal fundamentals. And so,
absolutely.
Okay, let's take a look at Anil's pick, which is FANG. This one's also holding up really nicely. Anil, tell it what are you going to do with it?
FANG, I'll probably buy it today.
Okay.
Because I see something pretty strange that I don't understand. I had a bunch of buy signals early in late July and most of them were energy stocks. Them are still holding up without any interruption. This FANG is one of them, and I'm a little bit surprised. That's what it's doing.
Yeah, this looks like I said, it looks pretty good. It looks like it's doing a nice little kind of a cup type of formation. It's just it's run into its own market weakness here, but the momentum is still swinging up. Looks like it's going to bounce off the zero line. So nice gap up today. As you'll notice with the holiday coming on Monday, Labor Day, notice that we're getting some just really low, almost anemic volume today, almost on everything. So I'm going to withhold my judgment on what's going on with the individual stocks and even the ETFs, and just be very selective and choosy on what I want to be getting into. But I like it. It has no, it does not have. I'm going to say it has weekly options. It does not. It has just the monthly options. But it looks like it did a split some time ago, and so if you are going to do options on this, stay away from the ones that say 11 underscore 10 or 100. Yeah, pretty good volume on open interest on the options. So I like it. I'm still good on the oil patch there, Anil.
Looking good. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's holding well above all of its moving averages here, and it looks like it wants to reverse back up and continue on that move higher. We bought it today. Let's just see how far. Yeah, 5% would take you just below yesterday's low. Excellent opportunity there. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and look at the indexes, and I'll come back to my pick for the week. On the indexes, this is what I was talking about, where I think, or at least in the way I look at my charts, I've got some momentum that is out of sync. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that as you look here on the daily chart, my TSI, which is my primary momentum indicator, has gotten into the lower reversal zone where we would anticipate some kind of a bounce from here. I do not have a bullish reversal signal here. However, we are approaching a strong level of either support here at the 390 level or down here at the uptrend line. So that's where I want to be, potentially geared to take action. If we close below that uptrend line, then watch out below. We're probably going to go back and down and retest about the 370 level. That increases the probability of that. My dailies look like they want to reverse and go up. I almost have a two-line cluster on the market forecast. Those are all positive. When I get a two or three-line cluster on the market forecast, we tend to get a reversal to the upside within a 1 to 4 period moving, 1 to 4 period session. And so if that in fact happens, anticipate a move back up into this direction, but it could move up from a lower level. On the weekly chart, notice this is one of the things I was waiting for. We have a crossover on the market, on the TSI, on the momentum. So with that happening, again, I encourage you to take some time this weekend, go and look at what has happened in the past. And, and this is one of the things, look at past action. What happened when the TSI crossed down on a weekly chart? And you'll see the pattern shape up here in that was an indication that, hey, we're going to go down some more. And the same is true on the flip side of that. When we reversed back up to the upside, what the price action on the weekly chart looked at. And as you'll see, on a lot of it, it would come back up and test into the body of the previous week. So that is, what could be happening here. But it looks like, it wants to drop. We dropped this zero line right here on the weekly chart. And that also could accelerate things to the downside. Okay, David, MMTW under 15. That is also an potential for it to bounce back. Again, a sign that a reversal is in the offing. When exactly, we don't know, but we know that and that was the percentage of stocks on the NYSE that are above the 20-day moving average, and that's less than 15% now. It doesn't spend much time over that, and it'll start to rebound from that. So that's what we've got going with the spiders on the NASDAQ and the Qs. It broke the uptrend line, and if we take out that low, we are probably going to run all the way down to at least the 281 level. On a intraday, or on a daily chart, similar type situation. The momentum looks like we need to turn back up. It hasn't turned back up yet. I do not have a bullish reversal signal yet, but I am operating at a level of support, and I've got a two-line cluster, so I could dig a little bit deeper and then rebound. I'll be standing by waiting for a reversal candlestick. Again, it is out of sync with the momentum on the longer-term weekly chart. And typically, the momentum on the longer-term weekly chart will trump the shorter-term momentum. But this momentum may be, hey, just a relief rally back up into the moving averages and then a rollover from there. Right now, my anticipation and patient is for things to basically be heading down. Okay, on the Russell, we had an excellent Dragonfly Doji yesterday. Okay, that is a bullish reversal signal. So that's positive. However, it will stay in effect unless the low is taken out. So we breached the low there and dropped down below that level. That voids that signal right there. TSI also on the daily is down at the lower reversal zone where we would anticipate some kind of move to the upside. We had a two-line cluster on this, 3 days ago. We did get a reversal signal, but we'll see if that's the first reversal signal. One of the things to be aware is when we have just made a lower low, oftentimes it's not that lower and low that we should be looking for. Check out what we have going on with what happened last time. We made this lower low, we came up and came back, and the ebbs and flows was on these retests here. That was the ones should have been getting into a trade to move it to the upside. Again, it's that secondary, the first initial lower low, retest, pullback, failed, similar to a top. It failed to pull back to the low, so that's a bullish signal. Then it popped up, then it retested again, and then went from there. So just keep that in mind, and that's what I was talking about. Take a look at past action to plan your attack going into next week. So that's what I've got going for the indexes, guys. What's your thoughts?
Pretty much agree with what you're saying. I think we need to give the market time to show us its hand, basically.
Okay. Anil?
No, my short-term trend is definitely low, and I got the signal on it around the 29, and it has even gone below the 50-day on the SPY, so
yeah,
it doesn't look good.
That was Friday of last week.
Friday, right.
Yeah, and that's one thing, and it points out a deal. When we came in with 2 hours left in the market, folks, we were saying, well, at that time, the volume was not above average. And we were kind of saying, oh, this is a low volume pullback. It pays to go take a look after the session is done, because it was after the session done that we went, oh, no, that was a higher volume sell-off. And so just to be aware of that, because sometimes I encourage you, be careful trying to make decisions about the market when the market is still active, or intraday, because intraday decisions on the market can wind up ripping your face off. I really continue to like this stock, and I haven't fallen in love with it. But I think that with the increased need for lithium, that anything that is related to lithium will continue to have potential movements to the upside. And I'm just looking at the ebbs and flows on this particular chart. This is Livent, and it is pulling back into the 20-day moving average, and we're getting a rebound. I do not have a reversal signal yet. So a couple of ways I could trade this. I could trade it, one, right where it's at with a stop loss at about 29.44. So if I wanted to buy it right now or nibble a little bit, that would be fine. Or I could wait until next Tuesday and put a buy order in at about $31.60. That would be a stop order. to buy it on a breakout of this flag, That is another way, excellent way to do this with a stop just slightly below the 20-day moving average. Because if I break out, I shouldn't be visiting that 20-day for a while. I should get more of a move like this. This is my stock for the day. I like it. It is it hasn't rolled over yet with the weekly TSI. And I'm close to a 2-line cluster. Don't have it yet. The daily TSI is approaching a support zone at about the 0 line. And oftentimes that is where price action will stop and bounce and head back up. But price actions need to get above the 8-day moving average, be back into the uptrend. So that's my pick for this week, guys.
Show me July 27 on the daily chart. I cannot see at the bottom.
July 27 on the daily?
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay. My system gives a buy signal on July 27.
Okay.
That has not gone away yet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is one that I was trailing from all the way over here. And it took several pullbacks for us to finally get into a position on it. We got into a position with the AutoPilot Traders, closed that position out for about a average gain of over 16%, just loaded back up here. Matter of fact, it was so funny. We had a trailing stop on it, about a 10% trailing stop, triggered the trailing stop, and also triggered the buy order. So we're right back into it almost immediately. So I like it. It's got pretty good volume on it, open interest on it.
Looks good.
Oh, I like it. I think it's a good pick. I like the fundamentals behind it.
Hey, let's talk about profit factor is more important than reward risk ratio. I was doing some studying to basically build up, actually do a paper on expectancy and expectations for your trading system. As I was reading and doing my reviews and my studies, what I found was this aspect of a profit factor. Now, I had not really studied this previously, but the more I got to know about it, the more I said, wow. Normally, we take a look at reward risk. In other words, I risk $1 to gain $2. So my reward risk ratio would be 2. So profit loss and reward risk only show if the average profits are larger than the average losses. It fails to show performance. So in other words, I could have a reward risk ratio that was, let's say, 0.5, where I was losing, my losers were bigger than my winners, but still turn around and have a profitable system. Profit factor starts taking a little bit more of that kind of stuff into information. The profit factors tells us whether the trading system is a winning system. So the profit factor is basically you take your percentage of profitable trades. So let's say, whatever that is, times your average gain. So what is required to be able to do this is you have to be keeping track of your trades and also, what does your system require? There's 2 measurements you can do. Your profit factor for your design system, okay, as you initially designed it, and then once you've back tested and also done live testing on it, you can fill in the rest of the information. And you need at least 30 trades to be able to establish with some statistical significance what this factor will be. But you take the percent profitable trades times your average gain divided by your percent losing trades times your average loss. If that ratio is greater than 1, then your system will be a winning system. If it's less than 1, number there is less than 1, no matter what your win-loss ratio is, it will never be a profitable system. So other factors are needed, of course, to establish some of the, if profits are robust or not. We'll cover that at another time. But when I ran into that, I went, wow. So if you know this data on your system, have some fun this weekend. Do the comparison. Is it greater than 1 or less than 1? And the next step after this, I'll be talking a little bit about profit expectancy. So, Stephen and Anil, have you done any investigation on this profit factor?
Not specifically for me, not specifically on the profit factor.
Formula differs only, instead of a ratio, it's a subtraction.
Right.
Correct.
That's expectancy. And that's what kind of modified my perception on this, because your expectancy doesn't add, well, if it's a negative expectancy, yeah, you're going to have a losing system.
Yeah.
But if it's a positive expectancy of 0.25 or better, it means that you have a pretty good system. That's never before I had seen it talked about with expectancy, or even something like this, of that these are the numbers you need for it to be a successful system. So excellent. Anyway, just want to share that with everybody.
One more thing on that.
Yes, sir.
I started doing back testing of the triple screen system itself, and tried to pick only those stocks that shows positive expectancy. Probability stack the system itself, so that if the back testing shows this stock had a negative expectancy, don't touch it. I don't know.
What do you mean by a negative expectancy? Based on your previous trades?
Not my previous trade. What the stock itself has done last 3 years or 5 years
Okay.
on a rigid system. Mine is a very rigid system.
Okay. So you rolled in that particular stock on your system, and you were able to generate performance data that
Exactly.
allowed you to establish the expectancy. Okay. That almost seems like it would be a training session, Anil, that you could do for one of the IBD meetup meetings.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Hey, Jesse says, it was never my thinking that made big money for me. It was always my sitting. Got that? It was my sitting. And I'm very proud of myself this week. I did very little trading this week, and I did a lot of sitting. While I didn't make any money in my own personal account, I didn't lose any money. So, sometimes that is a win because I followed my dadgum rules. And so if you like trading the leverage ETFs, the autopilot trading system could be for you. And there's an example of TQQ. And even if you don't capture all of the moves, this is a daily chart over a year's period of time. Just capturing one half of those moves you just see there would have resulted in a compounded effect of 113%. So do you struggle with it? Fears of not knowing where and how to exit your position? If so, then check out AutoPilot Trading. I encourage you. There's the website there. There is a QR code. You can just take a snapshot of that. That's what we've got for today, folks. I want to thank you all for joining us. Steve and Anil, we covered a lot.
Good to be here.
Great. Good session.
And we look forward to seeing everybody. Remember, Monday is a holiday. And so if you are looking, I'm going to be talking a little bit about IBD patterns compared to alternative entries. And that's going to be at the Bay Area Moneymakers meeting on the 6th of September, which is next Tuesday at 6:30 in the evening, California time. And I will be talking a little bit about how I utilize my 3-step setup system to beat the IBD patterns and the IBD setups. So anyway, aloha. And Steve and Neil, thank you, my friends.
Our pleasure.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Same to you.